episode of Diverse Voices. Today we have Savannah Lyle joining us to share her experience. We will be taking any questions through the chat and please send them to the co-host. And if you're interested in being our next interviewee, please let us know before we awkwardly ask you. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, Savannah Lyle. I'm your first interviewer. Thank you again so much for joining us here today. We look forward to helping the Neshaminy community learn a different perspective via our interview with you. So again, thank you so much. There would be a huge round of applause, but anyway. I am really excited to interview you. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but this is Diversity Pride Club. So we love what's different about different people. And so that's what my first question for you, Savannah, is none other than what about you is different? If you could just tell us a little bit.
Well, things got weird from birth and only continue to get weirder. So I guess I'll start there. But I was born with a rare joint syndrome called arthrogryposis, which is just as hard to spell as it sounds and is equally hard to find in most books. It basically keeps my joints from acting the way as they should. I don't have the full range of motion that most people do, and my muscle development has been iffy at best. I was diagnosed with a form of mild dwarfism, also at birth, because my bones were teeny tiny, and that also did not change. So that's the basics.
How small were your bones?
About baby size, a bit smaller.
Okay. That was just for you. That was a question for you. I'm sorry, I asked that out loud. Well, Savannah, so I don't know what you said exactly as in terms of what you have. Could you repeat it one more time for me?
I have a joint and muscle condition called arthrogryposis.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to hear that. And can I ask just as like, before I even ask the question that I was going to ask, do you know other people with this?
No, I am the only person I personally know with this. I have met a lot of people with different things, though. I know a guy with an extra knuckle on all of his fingers.
I don't know him.
Yeah, we call him Mike.
Well, that's wonderful, I think. That's awesome. And I have a follow-up question. So you're telling us what's different about you. How has it impacted you? Like, how has it made you who you are? And if you would like, if you don't mind, would you start physically?
Well, it's certainly impacted my sense of humor, for one. I guess it's kind of distanced me from a lot of activities that most other kids enjoyed kind of frequently. I, for one, did not go run off to the playground after school. I did not participate most of the time in gym class because, well, jumping jacks aren't exactly my thing. I wasn't really as involved with any kind of social activities like the walkathon or mini-thon or gym night. And it's held me back from a lot of opportunities in my life. Like most job applications, actually. So that's interesting. I can't stand for long periods of time or lift heavy things, which disqualifies me from most starting positions. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Could you explain a little bit more on that? And when you say like you don't have a wide range of motion and it's prohibited you from doing activities such as recess. Well, I'm thinking two things. One, how do you get around right now? Like, what's your, could you describe that for our audience?
Well, I'm currently sitting in a wheelchair, so that's one thing. I have crutches over there in the corner. I kind of ditched them to come over here. which honestly probably wasn't the best idea, but I wasn't exactly thinking about it at the time. So now they're over here and I'm not with them.
I'm sorry.
So I've been limited in the places that I can go. Sand, grass, wood chips, pretty much everything that isn't either tile or pavement, which has been, yeah.
Speaking of that, I heard a story from you at one point where you told us, it was not too long ago, I can't recall the exact date, but you were talking about an experience that you had at recess. I feel like this goes along with what we're talking about. Would you remind me of that experience?
I was in about second grade, but we weren't allowed on the blacktop because of rain, and then freezing cold temperatures kind of covered the place in black ice, and we were refined to the grassier areas and the playground, which was on the wood chips. Two places which I could not go, so I just kind of sat on a little paved path, played in the dirt. I found a worm. Named him Jerry.
I see that you are like, you use humor. Do you feel like that's part of that physical experience that you've encountered? And I guess this is where I'm going to go to with the final part of my question is these things that have made you Savannah, that made you different from other people, the Savannah that I enjoy having in my class so much, the Savannah I think so many of the Neshaminy community enjoy talking to. You're witty, you're funny. So I guess socially, how has being different impacted you? I know that you're funny, and I like you. So what is the rest of your interaction socially, or socially? How's that impacted?
Well, I for one get to make a lot of jokes that most people don't. So that already makes me quite the catch. But I'm not really able to go places and interact with people outside of where I'm supposed to be. I don't have the freedom to just meet up with my friend or hang out after school without arranging for like several different contingency plans, because my parents are paranoid because of only being able to get out there socially like most of my peers would have been able to. My dad refused to let me get pizza by myself when it was across the street once. So I think that's a good example of how things go.
Thank you.
Generally.
So socially, it's difficult, you're saying, because of figuring out how to physically get to places. So that impacts you socially, as in that you're not allowed, or excuse me, not able to do or interact socially as much as you'd like to. Do you feel like is that changing at all now that you're older?
It's an uphill battle, which is always harder when you're on wheels, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Savannah. Listen, it's wonderful speaking with you. There's two other interviewers. They have one question for you each, if you don't mind, and we'd love to ask you that. But thank you so much for sharing with me personally and everyone here in the world who's watching this. I mean, everyone. Thank you.
No problem. I'm here to bite the bullet.
So Savannah, my question for you is, how would you like the world or society to better interact with you, whether it's the school environment or other students, teachers, or like just like you mentioned before, like other stores that you might go on a regular basis? How does that work for you?
Honestly, the main change that I would want to see is just people not assuming what I want or need, and like actually letting me speak for myself about the things that I would like to have. Not to name names, but a health teacher I had a while ago. I was talking to my friend, and she asked me what I would do if like I had to get to the second floor of the building if there were like no ramps or elevators. And I was like starting to answer the question. She was like, actually, according to building codes, all buildings built recently have to be handicap accessible. And I'm like, yeah, that was a fun day.
Yeah, that's gotta be
And
tough to
she,
hear.
yeah, she was wrong. Not all buildings that I have been in personally, in my experience, which it's not exactly hers. Not all buildings do have those handicap accessible areas that I can, easily and comfortably go to like a second floor or another area. And I think it would just be like the change I do want to see in the world for people like me and me, well, not discounting myself. I just want people to actually take the opinions of the people that they're trying to accommodate and use that instead of just assuming what we need and what would be best. And I think, like just a simple survey, like anything, the bare minimum. I don't care if you come up to me on the street and you're like, "Hey, if I put this wooden plank down over over this set of stairs, would that be good for you?" I'd be like, "No," and that would be the end of it. And you wouldn't have to wonder. You wouldn't have to come up to me while I'm struggling up those stairs that you try to put a wooden plank over and be like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I wouldn't have to glare at you and say, "Can I help you?" And it would just be a nicer world. It would be a nicer place. I wouldn't feel so much rage constantly.
Do you think this is, I know you said that you haven't met others with similar conditions to you, but do you think that if you did meet someone who was going through the same thing as you, do you think they would say like the same, like do you say a similar thought or might have gone through a like what would you say to them that might have gone through a similar experience?
Honestly, I hope not many other people have gone through this, but I think this is kind of like a universal feeling among the people that I have met who are also disabled and part of the disabled community or whatever. I think they would have the same feelings. I do know they have the same sentiments. It's just so annoying when people hover and like wait for you to ask for help, but they don't want to intrude. And they just like kind of sit there and watch you struggle for a bit, and then they come up so they can feel like a good person. And you have to look at them like you suck. And I hate you personally.
Can I jump on that? You angry monster. Can what would be the ideal, like how would you want people like to interact with you like on a daily basis? Like if they see you having difficulty at all, should it just be like you would like just some help, some kindness?
Like
Is that what you're asking for? Kindness?
the same way you would act, the same way like heroes act around like old ladies trying to cross the street in cartoons. Like you don't hover and wait for her to ask you for help. You just go over and you help her. But then like if she tells you to back off, you back off. All right? Maybe I can do this by myself. Maybe I want to do this by myself. And you just come over and you pick up my stuff like you know me. And it's a read the room kind of situation. Like if I'm stuck in a doorway, I'm gonna need help. I'm gonna need you to like oil me up or whatever and push me out. But if I'm just pushing open a door, I don't want you to squeeze in front of me to hold the door open. I don't want you to like come over and grab my things and be like, "Hey, I'll carry that for you." And like, no, give me my bag back.
What if I just squeeze in front of you?
Oh, then that's also rude.
Okay. Thank you. And honestly, again, I can't stress it enough. Thank you so much for being your honesty right now. just seeing you go through this and think about it is giving me more insight to like your daily experience. So I really do appreciate this. Sarah, do you have any more, or are we moving to our third person?
One more question. Even in school, like, how does like being one of maybe the very few people who have like to be in a wheelchair or might be in a similar condition as you, like, how does that how do you feel about that, like being among other students, like when you're in the hallways or when you go to other schools, like do they like do you feel any different, or does it like is it just like a normal day? Do people tend to do the things that you mentioned you don't want people to do?
Honestly, like I don't really feel any different about seeing another person like on crutches or in a chair. Like they're just a person. They're just sitting down. I'd feel the same way about a person standing up. I don't really care. You do what you do. You do what you do in your leisure time. I'm not judging.
Thank you.
All right. And that's it. Sarah, you done? You good?
I think Sarah's good. I was waiting for, I think Layla has our next question for you. Our final question before we open it up to any in the chat.
Hit me, I'm ready.
All right. So, how do you see yourself portrayed in media, like books and television and movies?
I don't. I'm either not there or I'm a joke. And I don't tend to be funny.
Do you think that's like a common stereotype, or do you think there's more that you would see?
I think like when there are disabled people portrayed in like media, like most often it's like so they're there just to be saved by like the hero character. And like that's I'm not gonna curse. That's stupid. It's like it's portraying people like me as like helpless and I can't do anything for myself and I do need to be saved by some weirdo and tidy whities, which honestly is not fun because then it just kind of it's nice to see yourself portrayed as like someone who can do good things, but when you don't see that, you don't see yourself as a good person. Like you don't see yourself with any defining traits. Like honestly, like in media, in popular media, I'm more portrayed as a comic relief side character than anything. And like I'm there to make like the occasional funny, witty one-liner, and then I disappear for 3 episodes off to somewhere, who knows where, and it's never explained, and no one really cares.
Can I ask you another question?
Go for it.
Like when you're actually like any disabled person, like just when you see that, do you think again it's just for them to look good, like you said before?
It depends. Like honestly, like disabilities are like both mental and physical. They're either portrayed as like helplessness or they're villainized, and like there's really no in between in most instances. Like there's the occasional like, oh, this guy's actually the protagonist, but it's very few and very far in between. Like it's you don't get to see yourself portrayed as the hero, and it's not the best experience.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? I think that's a yes.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed in media is, and you just correct me on this, does it often seem like it's a story of like overcoming the odds? And does that play into that whole idea that like you have to beat something, that like you can't be who you are?
Yeah, like all of the stories you see about like disabled people, like on the news, it's all about like, oh, how they're overcoming their disabilities, like how they're being normal. You know, like how there's women who are confined to wheelchairs, like struggling down the aisle on their wedding day. And it's just so they can walk down the aisle with their dad or whatever. And it's like they're not happy doing these things. Like they're struggling, they're suffering. And like you can see that it's not good. It's painful to have to do those things, like physically painful. And yet like it's treated as like this victorious moment, this hurrah that you can all look at and be like, yay, that's awesome, I'm so happy for you. But like there's no stories about like people just doing great things and still just existing, you know? Like it's just hard to see all of these standards being set that you can't meet, but they're just expected of you because other people like you can do them. It's degrading to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. Like honestly, half the time I'm at a loss for words right now. Just like full honesty, like what you're telling me makes perfect sense. I know this stuff like in my head, what you're talking about, but hearing it come from you, it just reminds me that it's out there, that this is real, that this is what's going on. I mean, if I could cry, I would.
I don't think you have any tears inside of you.
Yeah, we know that. That's why I drink this.
It's all seltzer.
It's all seltzer. Savannah, thank you so much. We have, I think, 1 or 2 questions from the audience chat for you that were given to our host. So I think, Angela, are you going to ask a question now? Or are you forcing Tomby to ask a question?
I'll force Tomby to. Okay.
Okay, that's probably why. I understand
Yeah.
now. I think they're yelling yes, or just yelling Savannah.
I always knew there would be cross chanting my name one day. Didn't think it would happen today. All right. Hit me, Tomby. What's your question? What are other people's questions? They're not yours.
Oh, I don't.
I don't think Tomby got the question.
Yeah.
I can see it. So what the
Okay.
heck, Angela? I'll ask it. Tomby, thank you though for our setup is falling apart. We're abandoned ship. No. So the question, I believe. Let me see. Sorry, I'm reading chat. What is your opinion on the following phrases? I'm going to say some words to you.
Okay.
Handicapped, disabled, handicapable.
That last one, I hate with a burning passion. Just going to start with that.
Please tell. I mean, it seems positive in nature.
No.
Okay, it doesn't.
It's not. It's basically the
Is it what? Wait, and I'm gonna put words in your mouth, but I don't want to. Is it kind of what you were just saying? This idea of like applauding for the person going down the aisle, making you normal.
Like it takes like this major obstacle in your life and just kind of like brushes over it as something like you can do. You know, like you'll find a way. You're fine. Like I'm disabled. All right, I'm not. You can say I'm handicapable all you want, but I'm not going to be able to do the mile sprint. Okay, I'm not going to be able to find a way. It's sorry. It's me a second. Handicapped, I understand. Like that's fine. It's a descriptor word, and so is disabled. Like it's a descriptor. It's a descriptive word that describes the person and their disabilities. It's a disability. You are disabled. It's not like a mean it's not like a mean offensive thing to say. It's just what it is. And so is handicapped. Like if I am sitting in a wheelchair instead of running, I don't know why I would run, but if I'm not running anytime soon. I'm handicapped. Those are descriptive words, like describing a person. And handicapable. Handicapable, I feel like, is something able people say to just like make an excuse for themselves for why they're not helping. Like it's meant, I think it was originally meant to like help you feel better about yourself for like the situation you're in. But like it just feels like the disability equivalent of saying you're not different, you're just special. And that does not help at all, ever. Like I'm still different. I'm still disabled. You don't need to beautify it. It's just what it is.
I can totally agree with what you're saying, like what I'm hearing from you, because it's not mine. But I do want to say that, like, and I'm not sounding like you, but to me, you are a bit special. I know, I'm saying it, but you are like I can't help but feel. I don't know how that makes you feel, but I'm like, but you. It doesn't make you not disabled, but I get that like what your experiences has made you the Savannah that, like I said, I've come to appreciate, like sincerely appreciate you. Like we can just laugh in my classroom for way too long when we should be doing serious work. But like I think there's another question that's on the chat, and then someone's asking like about your emotions, about how you feel, whether it's anger or sadness or something in between. And I feel like I'm seeing you go through a range of them in this interview about like whether, and they were asking specifically about how you feel about going out or not going out with friends and having that same access. Like, how does that make you feel? But to speak to what you were just saying, I just, again, like, I don't want to put a spin on it at all, because I think you're right. Like, I get what you're saying, and it's where you're coming from. But I do feel like, yeah, there is something to you as a person. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, no, you did ramble for a bit in the middle
Yeah,
there.
you're a hurtful person.
Yeah, but you just admitted to admiring me, so can't take it back.
Fair enough. Okay. I don't think you have to answer that last question. I think in terms of feeling a wide range of emotions, I'm sure you do. And on behalf of Diversity Pride Club, I want to thank you for answering our questions today, for letting us know what is different about you, how that affects you, how that makes you who you are. And thank you again. So,
No problem.
Angela, do you want to close out?
We actually do have an audience question.
All right.
Am I asking it? Are you talking about the one question about feelings?
No, Tommy's talking.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, so I think I got this one. So the audience question for Savannah is, what do you want to do with your future?
Well, first reaction, that question gives me extreme anxiety because I'm depressed and I have no idea what I want to do with my future. And it makes me stressed. Ideally, I think I would like to be in a position where I can help people, be that through creative means or, I don't know, it's talking. I want to have like an influence. I want to be able to make a difference. I want to be able to make an impact, because like there's so many instances where I've been told that I can't, that I wouldn't be able to, because of who I am and how I am. And I'm a very spiteful person. I'm a very spiteful person. But I do want to see, I do want to make a positive change in the world. Like that's my main goal, be it through writing or music or something else. But
I think that's admirable, and I definitely can see you accomplishing that in the future.
thank you, Tanvi. I also believe in you.
Well, I believe that might be it then. And again, thank you, Savannah. I know you're saying you're spiteful, but you know what? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think you. This is, and again, I want to thank you, and I hope we can continue to do these diverse voices series. Thank you for starting off the series with us. But this is insightful. I've known you for quite some time, and we've never had this talk, and I'm really glad that we are able to do so here now, so other people can benefit from it. And yeah, you sound like you're going through different range of emotions, and I think that's really honest, and it's good for me to know. I think it's good for the general public to know, or the Neshaminy community. So just again, on behalf of the Diversity Pride Club, which you are part of, Vice President, may I add, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for helping us put this together. Angela, as the president, do you want to say anything? I'm just a lowly advisor.
Thank you guys so much for coming out and taking 30 minutes of your time to hear Savannah. I hope that you guys would come to our next episode, whenever that may be. And if any of you are interested in being an interviewee, please, please, please reach out to us. We would love to hear your perspective. But yeah, other than that, thanks.
Thanks. Round of applause for Savannah. Thanks for going through that.
I can only hear you, DeChico. Everyone else is muted.
They were banging their hands together. Okay, there they
Thank you,
go.
Layla.
I tried to mute all of them immediately as soon as they started clapping, but I'm not fast enough. All right, everyone. Thank you again. This is our first episode, so I'm going to sign us all off, I guess. Take care.
All right.
I think I should hit stop recording. I'll let it.
Bye.
Bye.